This is episode 78 of I Know What You Watched last week. And because someone's been off skiing with Faja,
Shoop, shoop, shoop.
we bring you this week a one film special. I watched at least 7 horror movies while you were gone. So I've done my homework for future episodes.
I spent an entire
because
week
I care about this channel.
without watching anything. So my eyes were like dying for a screen time again when I got back.
Well, they were lit up again after we watched the remake, the 1999 remake of House on Haunted Hill. And if you've watched this channel before, you've probably heard me mention it many a time, and my love for this film.
What I think is quite interesting is that we recently, in our black and white episode, did the original House on Haunted Hill.
Do you know what? Actually, I was really bummed out last night. I was like, we should have done the black and white episode in black and white.
It's alright, we can take it off and redo it. But anyway, on that episode, we got some comments from fans who...
Fans?
Well, I was going to say fans of the original.
I get swamped out on the streets now.
And it was interesting.
I thought you meant my fans.
One of them specifically brought up the remake, I guess because we did mention it, didn't we? And said that they thoroughly enjoyed it. Whereas the second person to comment sort of mentioned that the original was in their top 3 horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to ask what they thought of the remake. And interestingly enough, they had the exact same issue with it that I do. So
Well,
I'll be mentioning that again when we bring it up.
I already know what that is. So, but before we get into that, this movie is directed by, dare I say, a lesser-known horror stalwart who has had more of an influence on horror than I would guess most horror fanatics would even know about. And not just with the movies he's directed. And the guy's name is William Malone. And I speak of him highly because I love this film, obviously, but I also love an also much maligned film of his called Fear.com. And there are several reasons why I love that film. I won't go into it on this because this is not the time. I should have done a William Malone special.
Yeah.
William Malone is also the director of, in my opinion, one of the greatest episodes of Tales from the Crypt of all time. Is called Only Skin Deep. I believe it's season 6, episode 2. And when I watched that when I was younger, Tales from the Crypt in general, that was the episode out of all of them that stuck in my mind the most all throughout my life. And it was also written by Dick Beebe, who is the writer of House on Haunted Hill also. So what do you like about, without going into detail, first of all, just what do you like about this film?
I feel like this is very much of that era, 90s to noughties.
Well, we're right at the end of the 90s. This is 99.
In terms of horror at this point, I feel like is at its most just like purely entertaining. And what I mean by that is I agree with what some people say that the original, for example, or any film from that era...
We're in the postmodern era here with Scream.
...is more of a sort
everything.
of piece of art, purely. Mm-hmm. But this one has a lot of things that will just... I mean, there's constantly something happening. You're never bored. And they've added so much based on the original, but kind of amped up for, dare I say, a more modern audience.
Yeah, a modern audience of 1999, pre-millennium. Yeah, this was also... So we mentioned Tales from the Crypt. That was produced... was produced by a lot of people, but more specifically by Joel Silver and Robert Zemeckis, who also produced this film and all of the Castle remakes. Robert Zemeckis directed the Back to the Future movies, for one thing. And Joel Silver's produced movies like, Die Hard, Roadhouse, Predator, Demolition Man, all that great stuff.
So
and of
big
course,
favourite of yours then,
yeah,
clearly.
Huge favourite of mine, Predator, and all the rest of them that I just mentioned there. So William Malone's working on Tales from the Crypt, and you've got these guys behind Tales from the Crypt. You've also got the cinematographer of this film, Rick Bota, who also did around, probably over 20 episodes of makeup effects in this. K&B, who we've mentioned loads of times, so you know what you're going to get with those guys. And I also mentioned Rick Bota, the cinematographer.
Yeah.
Also, I believe in the assistant department, you had Christian Sebald, who was cinematographer of the second unit, and he did the cinematography.
And stunt guys, right?
Possibly, I'm not sure about that. Schooling me now.
I think I noticed that because I was like, oh, that's a bit unusual that both second unit was also stunt director.
So Christian Sebald was directing the stunts as well. Is what you're saying is some of the action.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm
Right.
pretty sure that's what I noticed in the credits.
He's also a cinematographer anyway for Fear.com. So again, about sticking together. So let's actually get into the film now. House on Haunted Hill, the opening. When I say the opening, I mean the opening credits.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive stuff, and also an influence on a scene in The Heathen short as well.
So it's funny you bring it up, because normally opening credits aren't that much to talk about. But when we were sitting there watching it, I was like, actually, this is beautiful in its own way.
Yeah.
And really interesting. And I love the addition of the sort of stop motion aspect. You know, you get the twine and stuff at the beginning, and then
Blinking eyes,
just
and
the way that
spiders.
they've cut everything together. It's really rich,
Yeah.
I think.
And we mentioned
Great.
before about opening credits, and sometimes I'm just like, I'm bored. I'll just fast forward
Yeah.
through them. But you don't fast forward through these
no.
ones. Like,
Really good.
For want of a
And
better word, artistic.
It actually reminds me slightly
gross.
of how I felt when I saw the opening bit to the another remake, The Hills Have Eyes, because you've got all those images of what supposedly happened to people who are affected by a nuclear bomb or something, and in this one they again have sort of images of all sorts of things that flash in and out in that weird way it does, which also ties into an extra backstory they've given to the house in this film.
Yeah. The scene I was talking about, which influenced the Heathen short, was the eyes. Obviously, they got the eyes.
Oh, yeah, they've got
there are
eyes
eyes
and a
everywhere.
mouth.
Without
And,
going
yeah.
into detail, there are eyes everywhere in Heathen. Yeah, and when we pass the credits, we're into the opening scene, and we're in the Vanica Institute for the Criminally Insane, something along those lines, and we've got the writer of the movie, Dick Beebe, playing like a receptionist, the doctor's receptionist there, and he's writing with his pencil. And then, what happens. But before what happens, obviously with pencils, what I loved is the build-up when they're going close on him sharpening the pencil and
Yeah.
blowing off the wood, and then
The cinematography,
foreshadowing what's going to come.
you already mentioned who did it, but it's beautiful.
Rick Bota.
And that's another reason why
Absolutely.
I don't understand how you could just pan this as a critic, because, there are loads of other films, I won't name them, if you watched our channel you know what I mean, that have been praised for their cinematography, and as if that kind of makes up for everything else. And I was like, well, if you're going to go there with those films, I think this one has a lot more to it, and the cinematography is great. I think it's just a lot of the time when it's got scares like it does, and some of the characters in this, it instantly makes it feel like it's not so serious.
It's not. It's completely a popcorn flick. This is an entertainment horror film, but it has so many elements of disturbing acts in the movie, and just violence and just a lot of weirdness as well. It's quite a strange film.
They use a lot of really cool camera and editing techniques as well, which
edited very well.
Yeah.
Because last night when I was watching it must have been, I don't know how many times I've seen this film now, but let's just say 50 to 100, and that's not including with the commentary on. And last night was probably the most that I've ever enjoyed watching the film, because I know it so well. I thought, this time I'm just going to see if I notice any other small things which I might not have paid attention to before, and I did notice things.
Yeah, because I guess normally you're focused on the characters and the dialogue, aren't
absolutely,
you?
yeah, because I love it anyway, so I'd want to concentrate on the dialogue and the characters and stuff like that, but this time I let that take a back seat. And I was looking at the more kind of like technical aspects of it, and like I said, the most I enjoyed ever watching it. And that also happens with me with RoboCop. Every time I watch it, I was like, I find a new level with which to love it. Yeah.
So with this intro scene, as we said, this obviously, there's not much history mentioned to the background of the house in the original. And in this one of the things they've added is that this is an ex-mental asylum. I think criminally insane? I don't, but anyway, an insane asylum. And there was, of course, a terrible doctor in charge of everything who was experimenting.
Dr. Vanica, played by Jeffrey Combs.
Creating a lot of pain in this place. I think it's so effective having this addition.
This is, for me, probably the best kill in the movie. Comes straight away when Dick Beebe, as a receptionist, he's swamped by a load of patients who have escaped, and even above him, there's like a glass ceiling, and you can see them all crawling over the glass ceiling. That's the first instance of many that I noticed when William Malone and the guys have clearly seen Jacob's Ladder.
Right.
This is so reminiscent of Jacob's Ladder. Every time they're in the asylum, they even have the gurney shot with the wobbly wheel
Yeah.
Things like that are taken from it. And of course, Wobbly Face. I won't get straight into Wobbly Face, but Wobbly
No.
Face came from Jacob's Ladder and is pretty prominent in this.
Yeah, this bit's great because you've got both the sort of frosted glass ceiling you're talking about, and that's in the operation room. So it's
Yeah.
Dr. Vonnegut and a nurse or something. And he's in the process, by the way, of scalpeling someone open without, it seems,
Vivisection.
any anaesthetic. So that's pretty grim already. And then in the other room where you mentioned Dick Beebe is, you've got the grate in front of him, and you've also got, again, sort of frosted glass behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And you just see this crowd of shadows that you know are out there to do him harm. And it reminded me very much the feeling I get with zombie films, when there's just, it's not just one, not just two, it's just an endless amount, and you know there's absolutely no escape.
And when they get in there, the masses of patients, they're tearing off the clothes of the nurses,
Yeah.
which is also pretty harrowing to see. But then one of them grabs 3 of these sharpened pencils and puts them straight through Dick Beebe's neck, which is also pretty gruesome, the way it's shot.
Yeah.
And just the thought, I haven't seen 3 pencils through the neck before.
No, it's just really effective, this whole thing. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, this is what takes place October the 11th, 1931.
And I mean, come on, it's a brilliant scene to open straight up on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're straight away, you're taken again with the cinematography.
Yeah.
It goes close up on all the right places.
And their
slows
choice
down
of
on the right
sound
places.
and everything as
Yeah.
well. I love that, when the guy comes into work, he puts on his classical sort of mellow music before
On the vinyl, yeah.
everything goes wrong.
And also something to look forward to if you enjoy people being operated on with no anaesthetic. I got that in Heathen.
If you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Some disturbing
we'll
people.
watch it, as we were watching, as I mentioned as well, I've watched it many times with the commentary, watched all of the extras and things like that on the DVD. And William Malone, he seems to have quite a morbid sense of humour, doesn't he? So
I think that's a
if you
great
do
thing
enjoy
for a
that
horror
kind of thing,
director.
absolutely, yeah. You need that.
Yeah, you want it to be like, oh, if you love non-anesthetic pain, then this is for you.
This is the place to be, definitely. So let's now start, because we're going to be introduced slowly, surely, to the cast. And the first guy we see was Jeffrey Rush, and he's playing the Vincent Price role.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, what a piece of casting that is. Apparently, on the commentary, William Malone said they couldn't believe, they put Jeffrey Rush's name out there, and then when he actually got him, he was like, couldn't believe it, beside
And
himself.
he said that,
with
he
glee.
really committed, and I would give that to him, definitely.
Absolutely,
I think
yeah.
all of them committed.
He plays it tongue-in-cheek when it needs to be, straight when it needs to be, and it's just perfect performance.
And the funny thing is, I don't actually know who he was saying, it's a director that he was trying to sort of...
John Waters, who's
Right, okay.
one of my absolute favourite directors of all time. You'll know him best. He plays there's a classic episode of The Simpsons about homosexuality, and he's the ultra gay guy in it,
Right.
who Bart befriends, and Homer is worried
Okay,
that Bart is gay.
yeah.
Yeah. Zap.
Well, he based it on that, but he ends up basically just looking like Jeffrey Rush.
Well, to be fair, John Waters does have the pencil-thin moustache. He wears, the cravat, the dinner suit, sports jacket, I believe they call it in America.
But it
things
all
like
works. Both Vincent Price
that. I can see both in his performance.
and Jeffrey Rush pull off that sort of eccentric billionaire
Yeah.
thing, don't they?
And of course his name is Price
But
in this.
I
in
actually
homage.
think I even prefer Famke Janssen's performance in this.
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah.
mention Famke Janssens next, so you...
It's absolutely flawless
Yeah.
as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. She gets all the emotions across so brilliantly. I think we see her first. She's having a bubble bath, looking very luxurious, watching
I mean, what a way to
something.
open on Famke Janssen in the bath. That's
Well,
what
you
I
don't really
I would
see
go to.
anything,
No, you
it's
don't need
bubbly,
to.
but-
No. You just know she's bathing, she's in luxury.
Great.
She's a lady that belongs in luxury. You know.
So she's actually...
Why do you think I always come and say, wash my hands when you're in the bath?
I thought you were just a really clean person.
I am that.
But anyway,
I get
she's
much
watching...
cleaner when you're in the bath.
She's watching a documentary which is explaining about the asylum and what happened.
Yeah.
And this inspires her, because she's apparently a bit weird as well, that she wants to celebrate her birthday at this haunted house.
The House on Haunted Hill. Yeah, and it's nice that you've brought us into that, because when I was watching it yesterday, I was looking for other things. And when Jeffrey Rush is sending the invites, There's just the bit when he's finished sending him and he gets up from the table. This might be a bit of a technical thing, but just the way that it's framed and the way where it's blocked as a one-man person, where he has to walk out. Just little things like this, because there are other instances of it. It's not just like, oh, let's do it one time. It just carries on, and it makes
it's all beautiful.
Film so smooth.
And you'd think a lot of people, I think, would just take the lazy way out, which they certainly haven't done. And he gets the guest list from her, shreds it, makes his own list, and then, as you mentioned, he gets up and leaves, and you just see, completely unmanned, the mouse move on the screen, delete the guest list, and write out a new one.
You know, this is on the brink of Y2K, and Y2K was scary. When we lived through it, you know, computers were
end of the world,
inviting their own guest lists to parties and other nefarious things like that. So we haven't even mentioned what Price does for a living. Because we're not really given information about it in the original with Vincent Price, what he does to earn all of his money. But in this one, Price is the owner, operator, designer of theme parks and roller coasters.
He's a geek, according to his wife.
Where did that come from? Actually, I know where that came from, because in the commentary, William Malone tells on the commentary that like his dream job would have been designing roller coasters. Yeah.
Well, he's done a great job in this.
I was thinking when he said that yesterday when I was watching just the roller coaster scene, I was like, this is the best roller coaster scene I've ever seen in a film. Probably even for some reason better than Final Destination 3 even. I don't know what it is about it. I think it's with Jeffrey Rush as well.
And I'm surprised that no theme parks have taken on some of his suggestions. Although, so basically, as we get introduced to him and he's walking around one of his theme parks, they've just opened a new ride and he's being interviewed about it.
Yeah, he's been interviewed by a guy and a girl. And the girl is Lisa Loeb, who, if you grew up like me, when MTV ruled the world, she was a MTV VJ kind of person.
Right. Yeah. So they're interviewing him, and the first scare that we get, he takes them onto an elevator to take them to the top of the ride, and they're going up, and you can see through the grate, the floor going away, through a grate in the top, you're going up, and all of a sudden, it breaks down and starts to plummet. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, and kudos, because the first time I watched that especially, they got me.
Yeah, they got me too.
They got me good. They got me real good. I was on the hook.
Don't you think it also makes it seem then, though, that Jeffrey Rush's character has to be a really good actor? Because obviously he has to play along and be like, oh, this wasn't planned. When it turns out at the end, it's all planned.
Well, and Price is eccentric.
It's actually just TV screens basically showing the descent.
Yeah.
The only thing that made me question it was, wouldn't you feel the difference in gravity?
You're just thinking way too much about this now.
So my other thing was, that is in itself a great scare, but once you've done it once, you know what's coming, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's a one-off scare. Yeah.
If you'd also notice when Jeffrey Rush Price is standing on the platform before the roller coaster takes off, in the background there is a Freddy glove.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, little Easter egg there. And there's also a part, where he says that line, this is the part now where it gets really scary, after they've done the elevator part and the roller coaster rushes past him. That's obviously, if you stood that close to a roller coaster, he would have been blown off the edge. So that is all, I don't know if it's CGI, but it's an optical. And also when they're going up the tunnel before the actual roller coaster properly starts, that's all an optical as well. I was thinking, this is 1999. How it's completely convincing that Jeffrey Rush is standing next to that roller coaster.
Well, I'm pretty sure that during the commentary again, they also mentioned that they used miniatures for a lot of this. And again, just all those safety rules, you can't have the two coasters that close and all of this. So yeah, there's a lot of
I'm pretty sure so that you probably can't have two carts going at the same time on a roller coaster.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then the next scare on the ride is again one that's taking us as the audience in just as much as the characters in the film, is you see the rails snap.
Yeah.
And the cart just in front of the one with characters we know goes flying off the coaster. And obviously the cameraman especially says, holy fuck! And slots right back into place just in time.
I was thinking, because obviously the cart that flies off is full of dummies.
Yeah.
I was thinking, where are all these carts going?
I've always thought that. And how do you get everything back? It seems like it would take a really long time.
This is a really expensive trick to keep playing for every ride.
Well, we even see them because
he's dedicated.
One of their guys who works there comes over to Price and is like, "Oh, there's a problem. And it turns out that the guy keeps losing, one of the dummies keeps losing its arm, and you see it like replaced. And I was like, jeez, they have to have like a team of people working around. Yeah.
Well, like we know, Price is eccentric and he's got a lot of money. So you can just keep doing it just for fun.
Yeah.
Essentially. So this is now Jeffrey Rush, Famke Janssen. We also mentioned Jeffrey Combs as Dr. Vannicut. Now that the guest list has been written out by the Y2K computer virus, we are now introduced to the rest of our ensemble cast, and in an homage to the original, they're being driven there, led by a hearse in limousines. And we've got Peter Gallagher, we've got Taye Diggs, we've got Bridget Wilson Sampras because she's married to Pete Sampras, who is arguably the greatest tennis player of all time. And we also play Pete Sampras tennis on Mega Drive against each other. That's right, the Sega Genesis Mega Drive. And she's also Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat. So that's pretty great. Directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who also did your favourites Event Horizon, Resident Evil, and Alien vs. Predator. Yeah. After that, we've also got Ali Larter. She's here. And of course, Chris Kattan.
Yeah.
So what a fantastic cast this is. As an ensemble cast, it doesn't really get much better than this. Especially for a 90s film.
Yeah, some of them are certainly more well known to me than others, but yeah, they all do a really good job.
You'll know who they are by the character then. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I say this is one, that's that one, yeah.
Yeah.
So when they're being driven there in the limousines, they're all opening their invites to this party. And we have Marilyn Manson playing over with his cover of the Eurythmics' Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. Nice touch, really suits what's going on. And also, Marilyn Manson was approached to be in this movie, and he was all for it, but couldn't do it because of like scheduling conflicts. Yeah, but you can see how it would fit into this kind of film.
And also, how did they get the timing so perfect of this music to what's happening? Because we see as each character is like very briefly introduced riding in the limo, we see a part of the invite that they've received. And it's like the music has its hardest bit when it's like House on Haunted Hill.
Well,
so good.
That's just putting complete thought into your piece of work, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just such a lovely little touch.
When they're all driven there to the house on Haunted Hill, it was also, again, I was just looking at the framing of when they arrive there, when they walk through the gates of the mansion, when they stop at the front and meet Chris Kattan's character Pritchard for the first time, and behind them is a car with its headlights on and there's like smoke going on in the background. Every time there's a new shot, the frame is filled with interesting stuff to look at all times. And when our cast are driven up, and like I said, we just introduced to Chris Kattan as Pritchard, he, for me, even after Jeffrey Rush and Famke Janssen, is my favourite performance in the entire movie, my favourite character. And the first time we see him, when everyone's putting up and he's telling him to get out of the car, it's just gold. It's comedic gold. It's not try hard. It's just natural.
He's the owner of the property, and he's just been tasked basically with bringing the guests up because it's all overgrown, so they can't drive the whole way. But yeah, this is an example of pretty much the only way of getting comedy into a horror without ruining it, which is, of course, he's playing it completely straight. And nothing he's saying is out of place. No. You can believe that this is a real person. It's just that real person is laughable in the best way. Yeah. He seems so neurotic, doesn't he?
I'm surprised that people just aren't knocking down Chris Kattan's door to be in more mainstream movies.
I do think it's really funny, though, in the commentary, because Will Malone's always saying, like, he did a good job because that's just who he is. It's like, oh. That's like basically saying he's a crap actor then.
Yeah, he's not trying.
It's just who he is.
We've seen the outside of the house at this point, and this isn't the house in, I've forgotten the place in Southern California, but Los Feliz, that's it, overlooking the murder house. This is a completely different thing. It's in the side of a cliff, and it's probably the model.
Yeah, again, so they used part of it as an existing building, but then they added a whole bunch, I don't remember now, but with some medium. I think it might even have been matte painting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like a matte painting, which I love.
It looks so good. And again, it's one of these things, like, if you're going to do a remake, you might as well amp it up, because otherwise what's the point? When the original is everything it can be, then just take the story and kind of I think they've just made it more fun, is what I would say.
And you can also tell that actually there is no escape from this place because it's on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
Whereas in the original, it's like a residential house.
Yeah. And this one's huge as well. Absolutely huge. So you've got all the sort of basement bits, which I love.
Mm-hmm. Chris Kattan eventually gets to lead the rest of the cast into the house. And we've already just talked about the outside. When we get into the house, again, just great to look at. Checkered floor, glass ceiling again, and a lot of thought has gone into this place. So we've now introduced the cast, the ensemble cast. We've seen the house on the outside and the inside, only briefly. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people like to compare this film with House of Wax, the remake of House of Wax.
Okay.
And a lot of people seem to go for House of Wax. But I'm thinking straight away, just from the cast, you're already beat just by caliber and performance anyway. Secondly, the house itself, the house on Haunted Hill, is way better than what they did for the remake of House of Wax. It also has... There are no kind of original or disturbing scenes in House of Wax whatsoever. There is in House on Haunted Hill. It keeps it creepy. Nothing really creepy about House of Wax. So I don't really understand why those have always been lumped in together. Probably again because it's like the William Castle entertainment thing. So that's why. But yeah, I don't even see it in the same realm.
There is
in terms of quality.
Always something to look at on this set. The set designers did a great job. The casting's great. All the backstory history is brilliant. And I still think it's fair that they've given a bit of a nod in pretty much every single moment to the original. Mm-hmm. Without just being a rip-off. Because again, like I said, when the original is already so good, there's no point in trying to do the same thing again. There just really isn't, is there? So you might as well do something that's just different. And I don't know why it's so hated. I think it's such an entertaining film.
Something else that I found which is different, not just from the remake, but just from a lot of movies in general, is once we get into the house, it probably was happening a little bit outside, but when we get in, the lighting is always moving. I think it's because it's supposed to be that light on the outside of the house, which possibly is like a lighthouse kind of thing, almost in terms of light. And yeah, the light is constantly moving in it, even if it's just, you know, the camera on someone's face reciting their lines in the background. The light is constantly moving all around the house. It doesn't stop at any
Interesting. No,
point.
I didn't notice that. So, but I guess it just probably adds to the confusion.
Yeah, because I thought it was at first. I thought it was just going to be in the kind of lobby place where they, you know, the bar where they're all lounging about at first and telling their stories of who they are, where they've come from, why they're all here, which doesn't seem to be very clear because none of them know each other. And of course, Famke Janssen as Evelyn, she doesn't know any of the guest list. Jeffrey Rush's character Price, he doesn't know any of these people that have showed up either, because of course the Y2K virus has stumped them all.
Yeah, beware, your computer might just invite random people to your next birthday party.
Yeah, and what do we have? We've got Taye Diggs' character is a former baseball player. Mm-hmm. Peter Gallagher is a doctor.
Yeah.
We've got Adi Lata's character is like an executive, right, at a film studio.
But is she?
But is she? Yeah.
Exec
Is anyone
VP.
really who they say? Also, we mentioned that Pritchard is the owner of the house.
And then we've got an like MTV style presenter girl who's now trying to make it back onto TV.
Bridget Wilson Sampras, one's constantly got the camera in her hand. Yeah, Sonya Blade from Mortal Kombat.
Sonya Blade.
Yes.
She's definitely to be the least likable character in this.
Yeah, I guess given her profession, they've got it spot on though, haven't they? Yeah. Someone who's trying desperately to get back into the limelight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no one more annoying than that. She's like a 1999 influencer.
Yes.
No one likes an influencer.
So, I also really like in this whole intro bit, because we've had the backstory of the place and we know it's supposedly haunted, but nothing else scary has happened in the modern time.
Because Pritchett is being the owner of the house. He knows the full backstory of it. He's been warning everybody, you know, don't even bother stepping inside this place pretty much because...
Well, what I was going to say was that...
the horrors that lie ahead.
He is desperate to exit the house, but he wants his money.
Yeah.
He wants his money, and you get this extra tension building up the whole time.
However, before we get into him wanting his money, we haven't even mentioned that this is when Jeffrey Rush comes down the stairs and introduces himself as the master of proceedings taking place tonight. I just want to say that, again, that his entrance is so like kind of like pompous and over the top, but it works perfectly for the character and what he's supposed to be, and of course he nails it. And you can definitely see the whole Vincent Price, John Waters thing in there.
Yeah, 100%. But anyway, so whilst he's trying to get his money, Pritchard, right?
Yeah, because obviously Pritchard's renting the house to Price for the night. So he just wants to get his check and leave.
But the whole time, Price is doing all this other stuff. Like I said, he's asking, like, who is everyone? And if you stay for all night, you get $1 million.
Which is the whole premise of the movie. You stay the night in House on Haunted Hill, you win $1 million.
And all this stuff. And meanwhile, every now and then, you've just got the, like, full of anxious energy Pritchard being like, just give me my money so I can leave.
Yeah, I'd written, apart from his introduction, it's when he's asking for his money and he's trying to be all assertive, which is his next funniest part.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But also, what you realise in this bit, once you've seen it all, is he's kind of been playing it cool up to this point, saying, yeah, well, you know, my dad and my granddad did die, but that has nothing to do with the house. That was just, you know, it just happened. But he clearly knows that it was the house that did it. And the reason that he's so keen on getting his money now is because he doesn't believe that any of them are going to survive who stay in the house. Because I was thinking the first time I saw it, I was like, can't he just get the money tomorrow if he's that desperate to leave? And I was like, oh, well, no. Paid. No, he can't, because Mr. Price will be dead.
And because Price is constantly playing with him, he's about to hand him a check, then he pulls it away, hand him a check, then he pulls it away. That's how he's winding up Pritchard. It goes on far too long for Pritchard's liking. He finally gets his check, but all of a sudden the house is about to go into lockdown.
Yeah.
So he tries to make a run for it, and he can't make it before the giant metal shutters lock off every single part of the house. And that's when it starts to get real for everybody. You know, Peter Gallagher as the Doctor, he's, you know, Blackburn, his character's name is, he's saying to Price, you know, you've had your fun, you scared us all, now open up your shutters. And he's like, well, I didn't even do it.
Yeah.
So he's thinking it's Famke Janssen doing it as Evelyn. Yeah,
we also hadn't mentioned that the glass ceiling with the crazy design on it is also smashed by now for no reason, apparently, and almost killed Famke Janssen.
Well, because it's the house on Haunted Hill.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there was that. But of course, Famke Janssen as well. So I saw this before I saw the original. Mm-hmm. And I think the original cleared up a few things for me about this one. For example, I mentioned in our review of the black and white that the relationship between Price and his wife just seemed a lot more obvious to me. Mm-hmm. But in this one, you still get the whole thing. When the glass ceiling almost kills Famke Janssen, she obviously thinks that it's her husband trying to off her. And her husband, Jeffrey Rush, the whole time throughout this film, keeps thinking, well, Evelyn's trying to get me offed as well so she can have the money. But he always is a step ahead, isn't he?
Yeah, and
Price.
When you have Jeffrey Rush and Famke Janssen in their scenes together, just like in the bedroom, shooting barbs at each other and stuff, it's obviously an homage, but pretty much a straight rip from the original. But it's still great because the chemistry is great. The playfulness is there. The dialogue.
I think the major difference in the relationship that I found with this one is that in the original, I think they both genuinely just hate each other.
Right.
And in this one, I've always, and perhaps even more so on really watching again, found that Famke Janssen as Evelyn just purely hates him. Mm-hmm. But that Jeffrey Rush as Price actually is kind of almost putting it on because he knows that she hates him, so he's giving it back, and he is angered by it. But I still feel like there's a bit of actual tenderness beneath it all.
Is there something else to Price's sexuality in this? Because Famke Janssen, on more than one occasion, you know, barbs him with being closet homosexual.
Yeah.
Is there anything in that, though, in the film? Because obviously it doesn't explore it or anything like that. It's not the kind of movie that would anyway. I just thought,
She does say it a lot of times, doesn't she? I don't know. Maybe. But either way, I think that Jeffrey Rush's feelings to her are a bit more complicated than this one.
Right. Now, of course, because it's a horror movie, it's time to split up somewhat and go and investigate this haunted house on Haunted Hill, which you've been warned about several times already by Pritchard, who's at this point started to drink. He's also busted his hand open trying to, you know,
break his way out.
He's cut his hand on the glass. So Dr. Blackburn has taken him to get all bandaged up, and he's just taken to the alcohol because he's like, I'm only going to be in it for the next 12 hours or however long it might be. Might as well die drunk, yeah, and also try to get laid a little bit later on.
But he eventually does get convinced to move because the others are all very keen on trying to find a way to open the shutters, which, unlike just the door being locked by the caretakers, in this one, the entire building has, you know, that prison-style lockdown.
Lockdown, baby.
Where there's no way to get out. And we see them on multiple occasions using various devices to try and pry something open. But it's just not going to happen.
We've got Taye Diggs and Ali Larter joined by Pritchard. And as they're walking around, we start to get everyone's singular, what happens to them singularly by themselves. Like Taye Diggs kind of goes off almost like he's been possessed in the eyes of Ali Larter, and he's just stalking the halls as he's split up from her. And we see him go to this vat of bubbling red liquid. I thought that was an homage to the vat of acid in the original one, but doesn't seem to have been mentioned.
No, but it's really effective. I always remember this bit. And I think actually Taye Diggs does a really good job of being that creepy, possessed type.
His posture and everything
which
like that.
isn't what I would necessarily imagine, but he does a really good job. And yeah, that scene when Ali Larter then thinks that he's kind of chucked himself into a vat of, blood, essentially. And then she goes to rescue him, plunging herself in. And then you see the real Taye Diggs turn up and be like, what you doing? And then she gets sucked in with even more force.
Yeah.
Really good.
One of the, obviously, they couldn't put Taye Diggs into the vat because he would have to do a film and it's all like red dye and stuff. So a stuntman got in there. Apparently he was red for days afterwards once he got out of that thing.
Horrific. Yeah, that bit's really good. And just the fact that it's blood. Like, why is there blood in this place that's been shut down for so long?
We found out just prior to this that Ali Larter's character, she's a bit of a smart cookie because she's like rewiring the electrics with a fuse.
And this is when we found out. So the first few times I watched this, I have to admit I didn't catch this bit, but it's quite obvious now. I don't know why I missed it, but she actually wasn't the person invited. So she's pretending to be her boss, Ms. Jensen. She's just an assistant.
And we have scenes which made that more obvious, which were deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was good they left
Rightly
those out.
so,
though.
yeah.
Because
After
also, when we saw the deleted scenes, I was like, well, why is she the only character who we see kind of beforehand receiving the invite? In that case, you would think you should do it for all of them. But anyway, yeah. Now it's obvious to me she's not actually who she says she is. So.
In the meantime, we've got Bridget Wilson-Sampras walking around, her character, with her camera. And as she is investigating the basement, the hallways of this place, through her camera, she sees in an operating room a gurney, someone lying on it, a couple of assistant doctors. One of them is filming for a type camera, and you've got Dr. Vanicut slicing away. And when she looks up in real life, it's nothing there. But when she looks up at the camera, the scene is happening, and all of them, Dr. Vanica and his assistants, turn around and look at the camera, look up at her. Again, the first time you see this, incredibly effective.
Yeah, I mean, how
original as well.
How spooky would that be?
Yeah.
And it reminds me,
it's creepy.
We watch plenty of, like Ghost Adventures and stuff, and there is that theory that through devices, whether they're video or sound or whatever, that you can see more that we can't with our naked eye. So it kind of plays into that. But then the most terrifying thing is as you said, when they notice her, because then it's like, what the hell are they going to do? And she can't see them, so how is she going to fight back? I just quickly want to mention as well, because we've already been now in our sort of description down into the basement with a few characters. But something that always stood out to me and is one of my favourite set designs of the whole film are these... They're sculptures, but they're supposed to be sort of medical experiment displays, I guess. So right when you go down the stairs into the basement, you've got massive glass cases, dirty of course, with what looks like sort of... creatures with exposed sinews and muscles and bones, and it's so effective, don't you think?
Yeah, again, it just adds to the whole atmosphere of the films. Once they get to the house, the atmosphere is set, the tone is set, and it doesn't let up from that. And
I love that it seems like they're going to play a role, like something's going to happen.
Yeah, you certainly think they're going to come alive
the whole
when
time.
you see them, don't you?
So it keeps you like, every time you see it, you're like...
Yeah, and the fact that they don't, and they're still featured prominently towards the end, you're still thinking, these things could still... Yeah.
And it's crazy when we watch their extra features to find out that they were made of foam. I would never have guessed.
No. Foam was almost baffling once I heard that's what it was from.
Incredible.
We haven't mentioned how Bridget Sampras dies.
How it all ends up. Yeah.
Because you don't really see it, do you?
No, you don't. So we hear her scream, and the rest of the group does too. So, of course, they go to sort of discover what's happened. And all they find is her camera, which has been slightly smashed on the floor, and then just mysterious blood stains. And not only is the blood going across the floor, but I think it's Ali Larter who looks up and realises that it's all across the ceiling as well. And it just ends in a way where the ceiling meets the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks, as Ali Larter says, like she's been sucked into the house. Creepy.
There's a real nice part in the dialogue.
Real nice.
Yeah. But we've got Taye Diggs and Ali Larter walking around. And Taye Diggs asks her, he says, you say you're an executive, for is it like a film studio?
Yeah.
But he says, being a former baseball player, I've been around executives of movies before, and I've never met an executive that can tie their shoelaces, let alone rewire electricals. And having spoken to some in our real life, so far that has been proved true. So that bit really makes me laugh, because I wonder who wrote that in there. I wonder if it was Dick Beavy, I wonder if it was William Malone, whoever.
Probably anyone who's not an executive would probably put that in. So it's like making inside industry jokes must be so satisfying. It's like their little way of getting their digs back at people.
After people have had their little exploration of the basement and Bridget Wilson Sampras has gone, they hear a scream back up in the room. We've got like Pritchard sitting down again, drinking, and everyone's asking kind of like, what's going on down here? What's that scream? And it's at this point, I believe, that Pritchard then starts talking about the darkness in the house. That's how everyone warned, so far all you've come across is the ghosts. What you need to be really afraid of is the darkness of the house.
Yeah. And also, I don't think I mentioned that this lockdown effect happened when the asylum went into chaos, and then everyone burnt to death except 5 staff members.
Yeah. 5 sadistic staff members.
I think the insinuation is that they're all sadistic, to be fair.
No, but it's specifically
it does
mentioned
specifically
in the
say
script,
that, doesn't it?
So they've got to be ultra sadistic, which they are. With the cast and it being 1999. What are your thoughts on the general 90s dialogue sarcasm? It's that classic thing that's come from Scream. Everyone's hip. Everyone's on it.
I'm so hip.
Yeah.
I'm so cool.
Everyone's got barbs to throw back.
Yes. I didn't find any of it too try hard. And
No.
there are bits where...
I wasn't really talking specifically about this one just because it's in-house on Haunted Hill Remake. So what you think of it in general. Is that a dialogue that you enjoy?
If it's done well, it's completely fine by me. Again, it suits more the popcorn flick type of movie.
And like we said, this is a popcorn flick, and so the dialogue does suit it.
But I like a good popcorn flick.
Yeah,
I don't need to be, artistically stimulated at every turn. I can just be entertained.
But this film is so entertaining that you almost don't recognise the artistic value of it and the creepier parts of it. So we've mentioned the camera looking up, everyone looking up into the camera. And we have your favourite in this being Wobbly Face. One of the best scenes in the film. Who sees Wobbly Face?
Well, I don't know, but tied into the Wobbly Face, because it's Price is actually, he is planning something. So he's got another guy, doesn't he, in a room with, so he's got cameras everywhere, he can watch everyone. And clearly Price has planned some stuff. But when Price goes to check on him at one point, he finds that his head's been, ripped off. And he looks into the CCTV style camera setup and he sees Dr. Vanagut sort of walking around. And I don't think that is the actual Wobbly Face bit.
No, but
it's the
Vanagut
same
on CCTV.
Style. The way he moves is so, brilliant. I love it. I find it so creepy.
So good.
I know that wasn't actually the Wobbly Face bit, but I just had to say, because it's a similar thing. I don't know if they filmed it in reverse or something, but they use so many great effects to make the ghosts move in unnatural ways, which is so effective.
Because if Dr. Vanagut was just milling about on CCTV, walking around in general, so that's fine. But to give him those jagged movements,
it
makes it so much more interesting.
Good. And also,
creepy,
he's got
unnerving.
he's got some big knife type thing.
Giant scalpel.
Yeah, isn't exactly calming. And at one point, he looks right up into the camera when Geoffrey Rush is watching. But what I found really funny as well is that obviously Geoffrey Rush, as we mentioned, thinks that Famke Janssen is kind of doing something to get him offed. And he seems to be convinced that this Dr. Vanagut thing that he's seen is just like a hired hitman or something.
Yeah, invited into the house by one of the guests.
I was like, I don't think anyone can move like that intentionally. But
maybe it's it's Y2K, so maybe the electrics were faulty on the camera.
Anyway.
It's already written out its own guest list.
Yeah, but anyways, it's needless to say, Geoffrey Rush's plans have all been foiled as well. So the next bit of note that I recall is again another nice nod to the original, which is Evelyn's apparent death. But in this one, seeing as we're already in an ex-mental asylum that was full of torture, and they have the electrocution chamber...
Electroshock therapy.
That's it. Of course, that's the choice for this film. And again, how effective. You just see Evelyn, you know, in the electric hat thing, strapped down to a
sponge
gurney.
in her mouth.
Yeah, and it takes a really long time of everyone trying to turn all these levers.
Yeah, they really milk it.
They really do.
In the best way.
And there's, you know, like
so,
smoke coming out.
Make it stop.
Yeah. Again... I guess because we find out that Geoffrey Rush is like Price, he does know the plan, doesn't he? So again, it shows what a brilliant actor this character is, because he seems genuinely to be like, what the hell is going on, right? Mm-hmm. But anyway, they turn it off, remove the spongy thing, and she's just got blood gushing out, and of course the doctor there pronounces her dead.
Yeah.
That's it. Evelyn is gone.
Because Price is pleading with him, you've got to get her back alive. So no, that's it.
That's it.
See you later.
So I think, again, the hanging versus the electrocution.
The fake hanging of Evelyn in the original versus
they kind of perfectly sum up the difference for me in the two films, don't they? Yeah. Mm-hmm. The very simple but effective hanging does the job, and it's creepy. Or the really visceral fitting and smoking death.
It's much more effective having the electrocution death.
It's just a very different. There's nothing subtle about it.
No, you hit over with a sledgehammer.
And also, it's probably one of those things that a lot of people would genuinely be like, "That's bloody terrifying to think of dying like that."
No, well, I was thinking that last night. Yeah. And there's something about just everything that's wrapped around her face. It just makes it look so uncomfortable.
Oh. Horrendous. But anyway, so now
uncomfortable being a bit of a
that's what, like half of our characters gone, basically, when you take into account the guy that was working for Price.
A reasonably big cast. What have we got, like 8 people here or something, like 7 or 8 people, haven't we?
I think at this point already most of our cast believe that Price is behind Evelyn's death, right? Yeah. So I think it's at this point then that they all decide, well, we need to lock Mr. Price away so that no one else is in danger. And they find the perfect place to do it, supposedly.
The saturation chamber, which is probably my favourite scene in the film. I was going to ask, I've already said Pritchard's my favourite character, but this is my favourite scene, locking Price into the saturation chamber. And this was a real... piece of apparatus that they would use to try to turn an insane person sane, or vice versa. Both can do each to each other.
I don't think I've ever watched a film about like old school mental institutions that haven't sickened the hell out of me. I mean, it's such a gruesome idea that this actually happened in the not that distant past.
No, it's not that long ago at all.
It's insane. And just like the malicious nature of some of these people who are supposed to be caring for people who, and then the things that they did, like lobotomies as well. Who the hell thought that was a good idea? Let's stick a chisel up your nose and cut off your brain. I mean,
well, that can go all the way back to the Egyptians, isn't it? Hooking up your nose and putting your brain out after you're dead. Yeah, I guess being alive is taking it to the next level. They're already dead by then.
It's a different thing. Yeah, absolutely insane. But this saturation chamber...
It's a zoetrope, essentially, which means you have the moving pictures.
Human-sized one, yeah.
Yeah, human-sized zoetrope, and, Price is in, he's got to hang on to a bit of rope which is in the middle of it. He's got to put on a pair of goggles, which for some reason is effective in terms of just watching it as an audience member. And yeah, as his zoetrope is going around, the animation is of Dr. Vannicut in kind of like a tuxedo and a bowler hat, and he pulls out like a football. and he starts bouncing it, and
basketball.
and he's looking at Price, kind of smiling, very evil smile, and the makeup of the animation is more like the animation of Vanica is like painted rather than like a photograph moving, so it looks even stranger in motion. And as Price is watching all of this, he starts having visions and reminiscent of Hellbound Hellraiser 2, when Dr. Channard is being changed into a Cenobite at the end. If you've seen that movie, which a lot of people would have done, in House on Haunted Hill, we then, in Price's vision, he has plastic wrapped around his face and steel wire wrapped over that, and then he's dunked into a water tank and thrown into the water. He manages to get the wire and the plastic off, but then he's having visions of like dead women in the water with blood coming out their mouths and things like this. And it's after this that we see, you know, the wobbly face, the proper wobbly face with the really creepy lady nurse. Yeah, and she's explaining to Price what's going on here, and then behind him she's like, "What do you think, Dr. Vanica?" And he comes, but it's not Dr. Vanica, it's Jeffrey Combs. It's this weird wobbly face version of Dr. Vanica
thing.
Yeah, this bulbous head which wobbles around.
Also, I forgot.
I thought you were going to mention wobbly head, because that's the thing.
I know, I love that
one
bit.
of the things that's most affected you during all of
when we
horror
first watched this, that really got me. Actually, to be fair, the whole time when we first saw this, I thought the entire thing up to like the last little bit, I thought was super creepy. Yeah. But also, we haven't even mentioned that this whole saturation chamber thing, it's only on because the doctor outside,
Peter Gallagher, that's Blackburn,
turned it on specifically. Obviously, the rest of the group wouldn't have approved because they're not sadists.
Yeah, they just thought they were going to lock him up.
They just wanted to lock him up. But the doctor is like, well, whilst he's in there, maybe I'll just bombard him with this device and turn him insane.
Which is, it's a really good, I wouldn't call it a full-on twist, but when we're introduced to Peter Gallagher's character, Blackburn, as the doctor, and Pritchard cuts his hands on the glass, he says, "Oh no, we've got to tend to this." It's the first thing he thinks of is tending to his injuries. And then all of a sudden, halfway, 2/3 away through the movie, when he's all of a sudden just turned like this into a complete arsehole. Yeah, because he's with glee at turning this machine on with
which
Price
most people who are not sadistic would have scruples about, even if they don't like the person in there. I mean, that's really quite something. It's almost like he is, again, the Dr. Vonnegut type, isn't he?
Vannegut.
Yeah,
Vannegut.
Oh, is it cut? Oh,
Yeah.
I keep making it some German
Vannegut,
name.
yeah.
Vannegut, sehr gut.
Yeah.
Good bath. Vannegut, okay. But anyway, and when he's turned this on and we see all those horrible images and my favourite crazy face.
Wobbly face.
And all of that. I did always wonder why Jeffrey Rush doesn't just, like curl himself into a ball and not look, but...
Very instantly mesmerised what's going on. Plus, it's a horror movie. If you don't take
easy
notice of what's
thing,
going
can
on,
you?
then nothing's going to happen for the movie, is it?
But it is really interesting that the original image that is shown in the thing then morphs, as you said, into all of these visions that he has. And I'm pretty sure Famke Janssen is in them as well, isn't she? But during this time that he's being bombarded, the doctor has left him to his fate, and he's gone to Famke Janssen's death chamber, as I would call it now.
Yeah.
And we get another really disturbing bit, because clearly something has been done to her that she is without a pulse and stuff, or it's really low, so that people, if they checked, would genuinely believe that she's dead. Whereas obviously if you've seen the original, she's not fully anyway. But while she's still completely unconscious, he starts like snogging her and feeling her up. He's like, "Ooh, nice." And then he gets out the syringe to sort of revive her. It's pretty gross.
Maybe she requested he do that, because it turns out when she comes to, they've been...
Yeah, they are lovers, but
Yeah.
I doubt that she was like, "Hey, when I'm basically dead, why don't you just molest me?"
You never know. You never know. This is House on Haunted Hill.
Plus, she clearly doesn't care about him either. The only thing this woman cares about is money.
Well, he gets his comeuppance, doesn't he?
Because she's worried that their plan isn't working well enough, and that, maybe no one will actually go after her husband. So she decides the best way to freak people out is have another body with blood on his hands. So she just takes a scalpel and
Yeah,
does
she's
the job.
somewhat dressed as like an evil bride at this point in a black dress. Going back to Saturation Chamber, the only
Right.
reason we get that is because William Malone was reading a book about cures for the insane back in the day, and the Saturation Chamber being one of them. And I was like, I'm not sure if... what's that curing?
Well, like I said, the things that
But
they
it's ju-
thought would work
my
are
point
just
was,
insane.
again, you have to read books like that to even, think of a scene like that. That's why we've got all of the books about black magic and the occult and the unknown,
And even just
reincarnation,
basic history.
and reading
Just
them and putting them
different
into your
cultures.
scripts. Yeah,
Yeah, that's why, you know me, I love reading and learning about the past of all cultures, because it's insane. Nothing is as crazy in fiction as in real life.
Well, we've even got a book called Hung, Drawn and Quartered, don't we, about just torture and execution.
Pretty
Good
grim.
stuff.
Pretty grim. But yeah, like I said, like that, the really famous, not horror, but it is basically horror, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Again, that was one of the first ones I saw about insane asylums, and ever since, it just creeped
it's
me out.
disturbing.
It's
One
so
Flew Over the Cuckoo's
disturbing,
Nest.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to remake that now.
But anyway, so now Doctor is also dead, thanks to Famke Janssen. We found out her dastardly plot the whole time. And she goes, obviously, I mean, for her plot to work, she has to go and get her husband out of the saturation chamber in order to
replace
frame
him.
him. Yeah.
Replace him with Dr. Blackburn.
And he literally tumbles out, doesn't he? So,
Yeah.
again, it just is another poignant reminder of how awful this saturation chamber is. Because you would think of all people who would be
His
able
mind
to
will
keep
never
their
be the same
cool,
again.
you would think it would be him, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
That character.
But he is cool.
Because he never loses his cool.
That's because he's cool.
He's just so cool. It's not long after all this has occurred that our little group, the remaining survivors, go to release
The Kraken.
Mr. Price. I don't even remember why, but they want to go and release him. But when they get to the saturation chamber, wouldn't they know, it's actually the Doctor whose face they see through the little peephole.
Yeah, naughty Peter Gallagher.
And when they open the door, that's not even the worst of it. It's just his head
Yeah, he's been decapitated.
on a little shelf, and his decapitated
Another nice
body
touch.
just flops out. So I think Evelyn has really achieved her goal at this point, because now they are convinced that, they left the Doctor with Mr. Price. The Doctor is now dead. Mr. Price is gone. He has to be the killer.
Has Evelyn decapitated Dr. Blackburn, or him being stuffed in the chamber, has a ghost got in there and decapitated him? Because if it is Evelyn, then you're looking at a character in a completely different way than if she's the one that's decapitated him. And I'm just not sure either way.
I don't know if it's that different. I mean, she, in completely cold blood, knifed him.
It's one thing to knife someone to death, but then to decapitate them after they're dead as well is another level up.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really thought about that. It could easily be either one, as far as I'm concerned.
Gruesome.
Because again, she will do anything it takes to get her husband's money, which means that she needs someone else to kill him. That's the whole point. So I suppose, really, the worse she makes the death look, the more freaked out they'll be.
Yeah.
But for some reason now, Ali Larter
It's like
is
her style
off-
then.
Well, she is ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't approve.
Feminine.
Don't approve. But Ali Larter's character at some point has managed to go off on her own. And she's, again, at this bit where we mentioned at the bottom of the stairs to the basement, with all these
Bodies in the
creepy
cases.
foam things. And Mr. Price, with blood on his hands, comes stumbling around the corner, and he keeps saying, help me. And he's been affected, clearly. And he keeps
stumbling towards
her, even though she's got the gun, which we didn't mention, but again, it's...
Yeah, the getting of the guns, which is another homage to the original.
Another homage to the original, but amped up. So this time, they open little coffins within a massive coffin filled with smoky, dry ice
And
stuff.
the little coffins seem to be on springs, because they're somewhat
Yeah, they look like they're
moving in that
floating,
manner,
don't they?
Yeah.
But anyway, everyone's got a gun. And Ali Larter is currently pointing hers at Mr. Price with blood on his hands, stumbling towards her. And she then proceeds, in her fright, much like in the original.
To blow him away.
To blow him away. Yeah. So, again, we think, or do we, that Mr. Price has been offed at this point, and Taye Diggs' character and who else is still with him at this point? Is it still Pritchard? Pritchard stumble upon her, and Taye Diggs, in his usual gentlemanly way of this...
His calming self.
You know, it's like, come on, baby girl. Baby girl.
Baby girl.
Baby girl.
I got you, baby girl.
Just keep walking, baby girl.
I wonder if that was improvised or in script. There was a lot of baby girl.
Yeah. Do you know what, actually, I was thinking, because we do see, from the very first time when we mentioned that the two of them, Ali Larter and Taye Diggs, go down and she's fixing the wires and stuff, it's clear already that they're supposed to
go down to the basement, not just go down, yeah.
There's supposed to be some real chemistry going on here. But as much as I enjoyed both their performances, I'm not feeling much chemistry.
No, neither was I.
No. You have to really pay attention to like what's actually being said and done.
I could see them having a pint with each other.
Yeah, I was like, they're both attractive people, so I don't know what's going on there. But I was like, Anyway, they've been ushered out, and we get another twist. Because, you know, Geoffrey Rush, Mr. Price, is of course full of
surprises,
clever little nerdy ideas. And we get another beautiful scene between him and Famke Janssen.
Yeah, when Famke Janssen comes out and she's walking past these boxes with these
and
foam
you see
bodies
her blood-saturated bottom of her dress.
Exactly. See again, and the camera is moving with her, and that's just another just superb shot. It's something that is just, you know, it wouldn't be noticed generally apart from the way we watch movies. We notice these little things, and it adds to the perfect flow of everything.
That bit actually was the bit that reminded me the most of Hellraiser in this. And also of the Heathen short that we did. Because her sort of like nighty gown thing at this point is so saturated with blood that in the low lighting and the way they filmed it, it reads like leather. And it reminds me, you know, like the Hell Priest's outfit. And we also had a sort of devilish, demonic type character in Heathen that we had in leather. And there is something really effective about it, because again, it's just like this, just like dominatrix style.
It's that heavy leather S&M vibe, which fits so well to, especially supernatural type horrors, and there are supernatural elements, obviously, to House on Haunted Hill. And
it just adds to, obviously, Evelyn's whole thing.
It adds to her turn, in character, absolutely. And when Evelyn comes to Price, he's there like, supposedly dead, and she just starts talking to him, oh, Price, you know, blah, 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 and I've always loved your money, which was obvious anyway. But then, Price ain't dead, because of course he's been wearing a bulletproof vest, and like you mentioned to me before, it's lucky that he didn't get shot in the head, which is what you always say about people with bulletproof vests in movies. Yeah,
or even like the arm or something.
Scream 3.
Ali Larter, she shoots a lot of shots. And apparently all of them just go on the vest. That's very good luck.
Yeah, I guess it's because if you're not a sure shot like Ali Larter isn't, she's not used to handling firearms, then you're going to just go for the biggest target, because she's already missed the first shot. It just hits the glass perspex, and so it's like, yeah, just go for the body now.
But then she's done a good job. Loads of them in there. Because they've all hit there. They haven't gone to the flailing arms.
They weren't too much more far apart than me and you, though.
No.
Yeah. So now, obviously, Price has heard everything that Evelyn has said, and he's mad. Yeah. He's mad, and he starts chucking her through walls. And I should also mention the walls, if we go back a bit, when they're first investigating the basement and stuff, there's a hole in the wall, and as they all walk away, the camera goes in on it, and we see that the wall is alive with small tendrils.
Yeah.
So the house is alive. Yeah, just another nice little pick. Back to that scene, though. And when he's throwing her through the wall, the last time he does it, he suddenly stops, looks through the hole in the wall while Evelyn's on the floor, and the darkness starts to come, and they both freak out. They forget that they've been fighting or whatever, and they're just kind of like both scared shitless.
But again, as much as Mr. Price was just throwing her around and saying, "Well, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm gonna kill you." But then clearly, again, like I said, I think it's more complicated than that for him, because when he sees this weird, like, grainy shadow moving towards her, he seems genuinely like to want to get her out of harm's way, doesn't he?
That's what I was trying to make,
It's more like I think in this film, it's more like his character loves Evelyn and is so angry and hurt at how she clearly feels about him that he lashes it out like that. But I think in his weird way, he does actually
Still care
Yeah.
deep down, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And it is shown in this scene.
which is, I guess, adds to it, because then, if no one cares, then there's not much fear
The
of
acting
anything happening.
is so good though in terms of that. The fact that they've had this toing and froing during the whole thing, just straight out, venomous to each other, and then you still believe that actually no, he does care about her no matter what we've seen beforehand, and no matter how venomous she is to him. So yeah, just superb acting. Again, that's why I think William Malone was so surprised as she managed to get Geoffrey Rush. And it doesn't mean much now in these days, but obviously Geoffrey Rush is Oscar nominated actor. He might have even won one, possibly, I'm not sure, one of the two. And that's just the power of having Joel Silver and Zemeckis behind the scenes, that you can get someone like Geoffrey Rush to be in House on the Haunted Hill.
And also, I think because William Malone knew that this film was going to be what it is, a popcorn flick. It wasn't going to be something that was going to be up for Oscars or anything, which is why he didn't know if he would get people like Geoffrey Rush. But he does it with full, respect for the genre. It's not like he's like, oh, this is never going to be nominated, so I might as well just give it half-assed. Like, he really goes for it. All of them do.
I would imagine that possibly people like Geoffrey Rush are probably relieved to be in a film like this. It's something that they can just really let loose with.
Yeah, what a fun character that is as well, Mr. Price. I mean, it's everything you could want, really.
Actors dream to play that kind of role.
Definitely,
really,
and Famke Janssen's one. Really good stuff.
As we just said, so the darkness has started to form itself. Now, this is where the film falls apart for a lot of people, yourself included. I would even say myself included. It's just that it doesn't ruin the film for me. So before we get into your gripes with it, we've obviously been warned about the darkness by Pritchard about halfway through the movie, so we're thinking, like, what is this darkness? And for me, when it first comes, and it's just this, like, butterfly-shaped almost...
It's that Rorschach thing, isn't it?
Yeah, black silhouette of a Rorschach. And once the darkness consumes Evelyn, obviously Evelyn's head becomes the top of this shape. And in the shape, we can see... the images of naked women moving around, and amongst other things, and just kind of like smoky general. If you look really closely, which, as you, like I said, if you've seen it so many times, that you do notice it. Watch, so a lot has gone into it. And when Evelyn has her head up there and she's speaking to Geoffrey Rush, I found it very effective. When it stops and you have wobbly faced Vannicut coming out saying, like, the doctor is in, or whatever, and you have other faces coming out of it. So the victims of the movie, so the characters who have died in the movie, they're also in the darkness, and when they pop out and talk, I find it really effective. For me, it's when it's like moving down the stairs as a blob like that, it seems Rush, and it just doesn't, it's basically, it's not great.
So, I vividly recall the first time we saw this. The whole film up to this point was really creeping me out. Like I said, I loved all the movements that they did.
And that's truly how good the film is, because up to that point, it is an effective film.
I loved everything about this. And I was almost grateful. When we got this CGI house spirit thing, because then I was just like, oh, okay, I'm not afraid anymore. And obviously for a horror film, that's kind of a shame. But if you're genuinely scared up to this point, it is a bit of a sigh of relief, because there's, CGI is CGI, and I know they like why they ended up using it, and if you look at it with what they did,
when you say CGI,
it's really cool.
This isn't over the top CGI. It's almost underdeveloped.
But I think just because everything else up to this point was so believable, it was either practical effects or it was like camera effects that still just really work. And this was the first thing where I was like, oh, well, this is fake. Yeah, because
like I say, everything else is practical in this. And it's... So when the darkness then starts to chase Price through the house, it essentially obviously starts chasing everybody through the house. And we also now start getting like action type scenes where the floorboards are like... They're blowing up as Taye Diggs and Ali Larter are trying to run away over the floorboards, and it just gets a bit OTT in that sense. And I mentioned the word rush.
It's more like an action movie then, isn't
it?
Yeah,
as I mentioned, the action scenes of exploding floors, and obviously the darkness is coming along, and it manages to accidentally almost, it's about to get Price, but he moves himself out of the way, and Pritchard comes into frame, and he gets sucked up by it as the three of them, Taye Diggs, Ali Larter, and Vincent Price, and Geoffrey Rush are running from it. And as I mentioned, it's when this darkness is moving through the rest of the house and the corridors. It's I just couldn't believe that they did like, yeah, that will do, because like I said, I don't have anything against the big black shape, but once it starts to move through the house, it's not believable. It falls apart.
Yeah.
But I still like it enough when it's talking and just taunting the people that it didn't completely ruin it for me. And talking again about the rush nature of the end is just like, oh, let's get them to the edge of the house to a window which is slightly open in what looks like an attic at this point. And it's just, oh, Adelarta manages to escape underneath it, but then it closes, so then Taye Diggs is against it, and the darkness comes up to him, is talking to him, and then this kind of like city demon head comes out at him, should I say. And that's another thing, I just wish I'd just not done that. Just kept it as the heads of the household.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like just all the fear completely left this film as soon as the CGI. As soon as
I still enjoyed the dialogue of the darkness.
And I remember actually when we first saw this, and I mentioned to you, I was like, oh, thank God for that CGI, because it just made me laugh. And you were like, what? I loved it. And I was like, I can see what there is to enjoy about it. And I'm not even saying it's bad, but it's not scary. I
did start to think of other ways it could have gone if you just went practical with it. And you could also have it manifest in different ways rather than just one
I think they were saying during some of the extra features that they did try various more practical things, like projecting shadows onto the wall and things like this. And I guess they went with this just... I
wouldn't be surprised if the studio insisted that it went with something CGI at the end.
Yeah, maybe they were like, we want something more like big, just in your face. But I do think it's in one way it's a shame, because it doesn't fully fit with the rest of the film to me, tonally. But also it kind of does go completely with the popcorn thing, because you want that big impact right at the end, don't you? Mm-hmm. And the only other thing that I thought was really just odd was that Pritchard's ghost manages to have his own sort of
redemption, almost.
Yeah, his own thoughts, even though he's been sucked into this demon thing, and he's the one who pulls on a cord that then lets Taye Diggs escape.
Just previous to this, Price has been turned to ash by the thing. He's been sucked into it, and we see his corpse kind of like dust away, and then it's when we see Taye Diggs is about to get got. And Pritchard's ghost, like you say, just turns up. He manages. I don't know if it's because he's the owner of the house. He doesn't, he's not owned by the darkness. I own this house, so if I want to come out for a second and pull open the shutters, I can do this.
It doesn't make any sense, because again, we know from what he's mentioned previously,
trying to defend it,
that both his dad and his granddad have been taken by the house. Yeah. So you would have thought that maybe they'd have stepped in then to save their descendant, but maybe
Chris Kattan told the darkness a really good joke. Like, if I tell you a really good joke, if I make you laugh, will you let me out for a second to let him out? Maybe that happened. Because he's pretty funny.
Recent, he's still more funny. His own individual. I don't know.
Yeah,
but also
it just goes with the rush nature of the ending. Or let's just have Pritchard pop out and open it for him. Because otherwise, how do you end it? You should just let the darkness take everybody.
Well, again,
that's what you should do.
Another thing they sort of added to this was the reason the ghost computer virus thing,
Y2K baby,
invited who they did, was that their ancestors were the 5 sadistic survivors.
Yeah.
And so I guess the house is basically saying, well, no loose ends. I want everyone gone. But then it turns out, obviously we find out that Adelarta's character isn't actually the person who is invited. So she's got nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. And then Taye Diggs, when he's about to get got, is like...
When the darkness is right in front of him, and it pulls out that demon head in front of him, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I don't even have anything to do with it. I was adopted.
Yeah, so and that's again when it just goes...
a bit silly, isn't it?
That is a very 90s thing, is to put the joke on at the end there.
At the climax.
Which they're still doing now in cinema. No one's gotten over it seems. But it is funny, but it shouldn't be that funny.
So
it's stupid.
I guess that again shows why those two survive in a way, because they are actually not relations.
Yeah, it's a loophole. It's your classic Hollywood loophole.
Yeah, but obviously the house was still going to get them. He was like, well, you're not the ones I wanted, but you'll do.
Well, when Taye does manage to escape and get outside of Adelarta, it's almost like the darkness is really sad. It's like, no, ooh, as it backs off. I was thinking, is the darkness dying because it didn't get everyone it wanted, or is it just like really sad that it couldn't get
It
Tay
just
and Ali?
wanted some more souls to add to its collection.
I mean, it has a lot of emotion,
Pissed off.
it seems. So now we've got Tay Diggs and Ali Larter. They're sitting outside on the ledge, which I mentioned, of the house, which is overseeing. It's on a cliff. It's overlooking the water, and the checks for the $1 million, which everyone would have got. Of course, if people die and you survive, then you get to split all their money as well. So Tay Diggs finds an envelope, and it's full of 5 checks for $1 million, and he like passes a couple to Ali Larter.
And they both start
both just start laughing. What is that ending as well? And as the camera's panning away, I think it's Tay Diggs. He's like, how the hell do we get down from this thing? It's like another funny part. Funny.
Yeah.
The laughter ending. And it goes,
Yeah.
it goes
They
on.
I always thought that, actually. I was like, they're very relieved considering their current circumstance. I mean, they've got no way of contacting anyone either, so how sure are they that anyone's going to notice?
That would probably be the most frightened I would have been all night/morning, sitting on the ledge of that house.
Yeah.
That doesn't appeal to me. I think I'd rather get sucked up by the darkness and just be done with it.
I also wouldn't take $5 million checks out of the envelope
No.
and then just start rifling about when it's that windy.
I was going to say, I think I don't even know how to seagull. So you know what it's treacherous.
I was just thinking
up there.
that Friends thing when they lose all the
lottery tickets.
I was like, it just blows away.
So unfortunately, the ending isn't what the rest of the film is, but I don't let it spoil it for me, and it doesn't spoil it for me. It's not like I'm trying hard for it not to spoil it for me. It just doesn't. But I can see the flaws after the rest of the movie. Pretty much said it's pretty much perfect for what it is, and it is perfect, I would say.
It's
and
just
way
so
better
much
than
fun, isn't
the
it?
House of Wax remake. If you think you prefer the House of Wax remake, I suggest you rewatch them both and reconsider, because there really is only one winner in that. And also William Malone. He is also pretty much mostly responsible for Michael Myers' mask in Halloween. And if you didn't know that, then just Google it. So, like I said, he's a horror stalwart. He's got other movies. Remember, we watched the scenes from Creature last night as well, of exploding heads, Tales from the Crypt, House on Haunted Hill, Fear.com. He's also got a movie I haven't seen called Parasomnia. He doesn't have the budget of this and Fear.com, which both had $40 million. I think Parasomnia had like $1 million. But it's his dream project. So I'd be really interested to get a hold of that and see what it's like. And I'll probably do one of these also for Fear.com, because it's just way too maligned for what it is. If, like I said, ImDb.com, this has about 20 out of 100. And
Johnny, the champion of the hated.
Fear.com has about 12 out of 100. How's Fear.com 12 out of 100? Yeah. Jeffrey Combs in this. Nothing with Jeffrey Combs in it is, below 10 out of 10, really, is it? Reanimator, come on. Jeff Combs is also in Fear.com. So again, William Malone sticking with the same people. We will be watching this movie again many more times throughout our partnership. Romantic and otherwise. Yeah, I love this film. If you didn't know it already.
Yep.
Was this one of the first ones I made you watch? Made you watch?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a long time ago, so it probably would have been. And it's a really good one if you're new to horror genre, I think.
Yeah, get a bit of
If
everything.
you're not like deep into it, this is such a fun one to really reel you in. And it's a good one if you're not in a particularly serious mood. I would say I can completely see that. I'm quite glad I saw this one first and then the original, because you can still completely appreciate the original, because it is just a brilliant piece of art.
And also Vincent Price's first horror movie.
Which is crazy. But I feel like maybe if I'd already been a fan of the black and white movie, I would have found this one a bit harder to swallow, because it is such a different tone, and it's, as
you might
we've
as well
said,
do something
like,
different with it, though.
Yeah, I know, and I completely agree. And I think it's as good a remake as they could have possibly done. Because
it is one of the best remakes.
They've done so much like entertaining stuff with it, while still completely honouring the original.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's one of those things, like, it does just feel like it's taken a lot less seriously. So I suppose I could understand that if you're a fan of the original and then you see this with certain expectations, it could be a bit of like, oh, well, maybe they haven't really put much care into it. But actually, the more you watch it, the more you realise that so much of it is artistically just brilliant.
Yeah. Can't fault any of it. Would you say, because it's a popcorn flick, and you say if you're looking to get someone into horror, maybe watch this as a piece of fun. So is it the ideal movie for, say, like a 10-year-old who's never seen horror?
10-year-old who's never seen horror.
Yeah, I think a 10-year-old's mind would be blown away by this.
I'm sure they would. I would say, you know, we've got some...
Just like mine was.
Some friends who unfortunately aren't as into horror because they haven't been exposed. And this is definitely one that I would watch with the, you know, the general movie viewer. I think everyone could appreciate
the layman.
This. The layman.
Yeah. So yeah, this isn't exactly The Exorcist or anything, but for what it is, it's bloody great. And considering all the movies that have been out there, been made, all the horror movies, this will be easy, I reckon, in my top 50 horrors of all time. Probably even higher than that.
It is very entertaining.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's one that you can just rewatch and appreciate new things every time.
Check it out.